with me and I told her everything. She told me not to believe Tanya since she's a cheater and a liar, though she told me that I should maybe read Sarah's and Ryan's text. If not respond, at least read to see how much truth there is in Tanya's story. I was about to read the texts, but I wanted more advice. I have texted my mom everything and sent her the screenshots, and I knew that I needed more help, so I am posting this over here. Guys, please guide me. I don't know what to believe and what not. I can't even get myself to believe Tanya's story, but I am really confused. I need to know what I should do if her story is true and what if it isn't. You guys really helped me a lot in the last 24 hours. I felt really cared for, and I need help again, so please give me any advice. Last story is titled, I 28 male found out recently that my wife 27 cheated on me shortly before we got engaged. I'm not really sure how to proceed. Just so we're clear, this has already been blown open. I kicked her out of the house for a week, then I found out. But she has since moved back in and we're getting marriage counseling. At this point, some of you will probably say, well, what do you need advice about? You're already moving forward in a good direction. Or maybe you don't say that at all. Anyhow, I am basically just looking for outside opinions on the situation. A full breakdown of what happened. Shortly before we got engaged, around 1.5 months before, she connected with one of her ex's best friends. Apparently her and him had some tension from before but never acted on it. Anyway, they exchanged pictures and videos of themselves self-pleasuring, but it never went beyond that as far as I know. Now at this point, we were still only dating, but it was a serious relationship and we both knew clearly what our boundaries were with regards to interacting with the opposite sex. And obviously, what she did was a huge breach of those boundaries. She also did this knowing that an affair ruined my parents' marriage and caused my family immense amounts of hurt. The excuse that she gave me was that we just had a big fight and she thought I was going to end things anyway. Like I said before, we're getting counseling and we're trying to pick up the pieces, but I am terrified that this is going to happen again. Every day I wake up and my heart hurts. Every day I wish so bad for things to just go back to normal, to the point where I just pretend everything is fine so that I feel hopeful again, but it feels impossible. Do any of you have any experience with these sort of things? What did you do in your situation? How long is this going to hurt? Now for the advice. It isn't just that she cheated, it's that she cheated and went on to accept your proposal and marry you while lying to you about it. Would you have proposed or married her if you had known then? Who knows, but she deliberately took away your right to make that choice for yourself by not being honest. She may or may not cheat again, but she will 100% lie to you if she thinks it would benefit her in some way. As for how long it will hurt, if you divorce her, it will hurt a few months. If you stay with her and try to force yourself to trust someone who has proven themselves untrustworthy, it will hurt solidly for probably a couple of years and then intermittently for the rest of your life. This is what I keep rolling over in my mind. I feel like I had no free will here. I'm in the middle of a divorce. Things were heading that way anyway, but I found out my wife had cheated on me before we were engaged. We were going through a rough patch and I had temporarily moved out at the time, but she asked me back after a few weeks. Things were good. I proposed, we got married. Had I known she'd cheated, I would never have gone back. And the reason for the rough patch? The affair she was planning or having at the time. It didn't work out, so I was the backup. I'd stayed faithful. She claimed she had. I believed her. So yeah, I feel you. I had no free will either. I deserved to know, and so did you. Your story was heartbreaking, but really helpful. Thank you so much for sharing. Her lack of remorse is a massive red flag. She's a cheater, and callous about it. Is this going to be her normal reaction when things get tough? You now have years of mistrust ahead, wondering if she is still up to it, or if she really views it as justified when she does it in the future. So, she couldn't come clean until she had you locked in, eh? That's kind of the worst part. She didn't come clean about it. I had to find out for myself. Let that part sink in. Like really stew in it. You found out yourself. Would she have ever told you? Is what you found out even the whole truth? Did you just scratch the surface of what she was really up to? Has she still been in contact with this guy? If she was, would you even find out? Has she told you the whole truth? Is it even telling you the truth if you had to catch her after getting freaking married? Honestly, I hope for your sake it's early enough in the marriage that it could be annulled, because I wouldn't ever be able to trust her. Good luck with your liar of a girlfriend who became your lying fiancé. who is now your lying wife. Real gem you found in the garbage right there.
Flood of frost. Eye for an eye. Motion to compel. Rack and ruin. More speed. Boom! Quiver.
Wife of 10 years cheated with a woman. My wife and I have known each other for 12 and been married for 10 years. Recently, I noticed over the last 3 weeks her going out to the city to visit a friend she made. She continues to be out there past her commuted time and ignored my calls and texts. We got in a fight when she went out to brunch at 3:30 p.m. instead of coming home to our family as she said she would. She stayed the night out there because of the fight and made me feel that I was overreacting about her spending time in the city. I found she deleted my incoming texts from my phone that she sent me from another cell number she had texted me from in the city, which set off a red flag. I allowed messages to run on our home computer and was heartbroken to find the texts showing her having an emotional affair, saying things like, "Don't say anything here, my husband is around." I confronted her, and she said that it doesn't count because she is a woman. Then eventually said that she was defiantly spending an inappropriate amount of time away from home and would fix it. I couldn't sleep that night and I went through her phone. Side notes: earlier in our relationship, my wife had trust issues and set the expectations of no cell phone privacy. She had Snapchat installed, which she hadn't before, and there was no text history for her friend. She missed one thing in her phone, a new created email account, and it contained video and texts from Snapchat confirming a physical affair that started 2 months ago. I'm heartbroken to find texting and confirmation of a physical relationship. I confronted her again, and she admitted what was going on after trying to lie repeatedly. She wants me to allow her to go out once a week and stay together as things were before I found out. I want to stay with her, but I can't share her. Not with somebody at least who encouraged lying and forming a relationship with a married woman. Need advice. Edit. I didn't include that we have a 2 and 7-year-old. I also wanted to add that this is from 2 days and about 12 hours ago. And also add, after confronting her about situation again and letting her know that I can't share her with somebody like that, who encouraged cheating and exploring sexuality without your spouse's knowledge or consent, I told her that I would eventually be open to us as a married couple dating other women, but that we need to always come first and that the emotional part of our affair was the most devastating. She chose me and the kids and broke up with her, but then she continues to plead with me saying she can't live without her specifically. They met 2 months ago. When I tell her that if she feels that way, then I'll get out of the way for her happiness and we'll get a divorce. She also tells me that she can't live without me. I found out too that she told the affair partner that in 6 months she'll contact her and let her know if she can't live without her. Another truth I had to dig to get, but she did eventually tell me. She wants to have her cake and eat it too. To continue with the stable family life we've built and to also be able to escape the family life and be free like she was before kids. Need advice or to hear what you did in a similar situation. Thank you all for your input. Now for the top advice. Your update makes it crystal clear that you need to leave. Get into therapy. She's obviously way off if you've already had issues in the past, and she knows the boundaries of the relationship. If she's not willing to cut out a fair partner and put her family first, then she's gotta go. She's in the fog right now. If you're going to act, you need to do it while she's behaving irrationally. The second stage will be cold resentment and hostility towards you. She will then rip you apart in a divorce, because most states are no fault, and family courts are heavily weighted towards mom. I don't think it matters who she cheated with. What matters is that there was infidelity. The only person who can decide to stay or go is you. I reconciled with my wayward spouse a couple of years ago, and for us it was the right decision, but that isn't the case for everyone. It's a super difficult decision either way. The only advice that matters is this: it's best not to make a decision right away. Give yourself some time to process what's happened. This is over. She won't wait 6 months. She will be contacting the affair partner very soon. She doesn't want to work on her marriage. She wants to have the lifestyle you provide with children while creating a new relationship. The sooner you recognize that you need to step away because she's not serious about reconciliation, then the happier you will be. So begins a months-long tug
Oh,
and pull
hello.
with her, putting in less than half work to reconcile. You continuing to make demands, eventually culminating in you finding out she's in contact again. The first and foremost rule to ever successfully reconciling is the affair partner is out of your lives for good. That isn't the case here. She still occupied a ton of headspace in your soon-to-be ex, so she will sacrifice your feelings to pursue her. This will fail. It's a matter of when, not if. Next story. My wife does not understand what this did to me. I, 43 male, had been married to my wife, 43 female, for 16 years, when she had an affair in February of 2019. We have 3 kids. Ages are 11, 12, and 14. Her affair was with someone that I thought was a normal guy and a friend, who I could trust. We met him and his family through our kids, who were friends. It has been difficult because the kids go to school with their kids, so we have to see him in our small city. I spent the first year processing what had happened. I took it really difficult on me. I think unless you have been in this situation, it's very hard to understand. One day things are great, and then the next day you are not only losing your marriage, but you are also losing a lot of time and memories with your kids, and it just feels unfair. Especially when you thought life was good. I went through the grieving stages, and it was hard to accept what had happened. After about 1 year, I realized that divorce is the best option for me because I no longer trusted this person that I thought I knew, and there was no way to rebuild what I thought we had. The problem is that I cannot afford to get a divorce at this time, and she does not work. She had stayed home raising our children, but they are old enough now. Still, she has made little to no effort to get a job. Also, we do not have any family in this country. We have friends, but nobody that I felt comfortable turning to for support. Otherwise, I would have moved out by now and went to live with my family or something, until things improved. Also, COVID has been hard on my business, and that has made things even more difficult to separate. So we are living like acquaintances at this point. The first year included hysterical bonding and a lot of emotion, but she mostly rug swept the whole thing and tried to deflect any questions that I would ask. After about 1 year, I started to lose more and more interest and looked at her differently once the shock wore off. She showed little empathy for the devastation that it caused me and the embarrassment. I'm not using this as an excuse, but when this happens to a man or woman, it can be hard to focus on work. She makes rude comments about our financial situation, but still is not working, and it's been more than 2.5 years. It's like she does not get what she did and acts like it should not have hurt me as bad as it did. I don't understand how she doesn't get the pain it caused. I know this might not be worth the energy, but do you have any suggestions on how to convey the damage that she did to me? The embarrassment is only a small part of it. The heartbreak and breakup of my family is the hardest part by far. So yes, my ability to work was affected by this. I was depressed for a long time. I'm doing better now, but still struggle with what happened in my life like it's hard to believe. Yet, she does not seem to get how serious the pain has been for me and doesn't see how her affair could have hurt my business and income. I'm trying to say this as sensitively as possible because I went through the same "how can I get her to understand" phase. If she doesn't care already, you won't be able to make her understand. From what you've described, she doesn't have any remorse. She's seen firsthand the impact on you. She doesn't need anything else. She'll never be able to empathize with you because she only wants to view the world through the lens of her not being the bad guy, and that all of her actions were justified and she was pushed into it by what other people did or did not do, whether a past trauma or someone ignoring her needs. Everyone knows she had a million other options to address these, but she chose the most selfish one, an affair. I know you're hoping this will relieve your pain. This will take away devastating impact it's had on you. That she'll come to some realization and start behaving differently. But it won't. You can only control yourself, not her. It's time to make some hard decisions and take action to change your circumstances, because it sounds like you're having difficulty living in this headspace. Wishing you the best. This poster hit it right on the head. She will never get it. You need to come to terms with that before you repair in other ways. Hang in there and start planning an exit strategy. Thanks. I'm afraid you were right. I've come a long way, but still struggle. First thought when I wake up, on most days, and it's been over 2.5 years, but I guess I'm improving. The best way to convey the damage is to get started on the divorce. When she is served, she might begin to understand. What were the consequences of her actions? What did she lose? Probably not your attention because you were still there. Not her respect. I bet you didn't tell anyone because you didn't want anyone to think less of her. Her family probably doesn't even know. Not her life. She probably is sleeping in the same bed. If anything, you probably moved to a different bed. You should have sat down with her parents and family and had her tell them what she did. After you file and serve her, explain to her that you guys need to break it to the kids and that she needs to explain why you were getting a divorce. I bet all kinds of caring start taking place then, once she realizes what she is about to lose. I told her parents because she was manipulating them and believing her lies. She doesn't care. The marriage is dead. Do a formal separation and file for divorce. You can continue to live in the same home. Focus on yourself and look to date. Screw her and the dude she rode. Can I begin the divorce process if living together? I have been afraid that she is just adding years for money. Yes, and you can continue to live together after the divorce if you need to. Next story is titled, Caught My Wife Exiting Her Best Friend's Husband for More Than a Year. Okay, ready to drop this roller coaster of a story and get some opinions. So, I have caught my wife 2 times before, exiting with exes, either wild cheating fantasies or D-pics, and lying about meeting up with an ex. She is still in contact with all on social media and I found out. I feel some distance between us the last few weeks and tried to talk about it, but was brushed away as nonsense. I see she's still following D-pic X on Instagram and have a bad feeling. Though I feel terrible about it, I check her WhatsApp on her laptop and found out she is exiting for at least a month with the husband of her best friend, who is 6 months pregnant with their second child. They were talking about doing it in the shower on our upcoming holiday, and made plans last month to do it in a parking lot. I confront her about it. She denies and says I'm seeing things, and that I'm overly jealous. I say I have screenshots from the last couple of weeks of their chats, and finally she confesses to have sent a couple of naughty texts. I have her call her best friend to confess everything, and she's in shock. She admits to having an addiction to get other males' attention stemming from low self-esteem. We have been together for 13 years, married for 7, with 2 kids. I have given her everything, have given up most of my social life as she runs a dance school and is a part-time gymnastic trainer next to her regular teaching job. She swears it's only texting, and everything is a lie she told him. It's part of a game to edge each other on. She admits to sending pics, but only fully clothed, but she normally sees him multiple times a week. She is also in contact with text affair number 1 and talking about it with current text affair to judge him worthy of her attention. She is unwilling to cut him out of her life because she's not giving up her friendship or her gymnastics job, of which this guy is also head of. For the sake of the kids, I give marriage counseling a go. But for the last 3 weeks, she flips between sort of remorse and blaming me, and telling me she's not a lapdog begging for forgiveness, and how I can never be trusted because I checked her laptop. Her best friend, who of course also got cheated on, has forgiven her in 2 weeks' time and they are besties again. I've informed her family, and while her parents are angry at her, they also tell me to stop being childish and get over it for the sake of the kids. Tonight, I sat down with her and told her I want a divorce. I have had enough and I'm done. She will never change. You did the right thing. You made the right call for sure. I cannot believe everyone else in this story. Right? I was starting to doubt my own sanity. Luckily, all my friends and family, and even her own brother, fully support my decision. Yeah, I think that's pretty normal to feel that way. My ex's family did the same thing to me when I ended it. He cheated when my daughter was 5 months, and his sister had the audacity to say that maybe I was having PPD because I wouldn't forgive him since we had a child together. Thought I was going nuts. Some people. I'm glad that all your friends and family support you. And how I can never be trusted because I checked her laptop. Is that a joke? She's now trying to put the blame on you for her terrible behavior? She really thinks that snooping and cheating have the same weights? It's almost like, hey, I robbed a bank, but you are not innocent because you threw candy wrapper on the floor, so you're in the wrong too. What a pathetic piece of human. You broke the rules, so you deserve to be cheated on. It's how they think. It's the only way they can live with themselves. And it's a hell of a lot easier than doing better. I don't see remorse here. If there's no remorse, then you're wasting your time trying to reconcile. She should be the driving force behind the reconciliation. Now for the last story. I am the hard worker in the relationship, the breadwinner, and I have just found out my wife cheated. I am 31 and so is my wife. We have been married for 10 years and we have 2 children together, 5 and 11. I recently found out that she cheated on me with a 21-year-old, and he was the one that confessed to me. I work for a tree company and need to be out of town for 4 to 5 days a week. On top of that, at the start of this year, my dad passed down the rights of a small restaurant to me and my wife. One day, I hired this young guy to work for me at the restaurant. I didn't notice or see anything suspicious at first, but I slowly started to catch on that he might be talking to my wife behind my back. One day, I grabbed my wife's cell phone, and she instantly grabbed it back. I told her to let me see it if she wasn't hiding anything. She took a couple seconds on her phone, then gave it to me, but I saw she had deleted her Snapchat app. I asked why, and she claimed I made fun of her whenever she took pictures. I never did though. This was the first red flag. Then on 4th of July, we closed up the restaurant and invited every employee to the lake. At the lake, I saw my wife go up to the restroom, and a couple minutes later, the young man I had hired followed. I went up to see that they were talking. I asked her why he came up here to talk to her, and she said that he simply asked her a couple questions about his hours. This was second red flag. Mind you, my 2 daughters had just been taken to Mexico for the summer, and to get some load off our shoulders. So fast forward 2 months and a couple more red flags along the way. The 21-year-old comes up and confesses that he had been having an affair with my wife for months now. He was drunk when telling me. He proceeded to give me details on how they had gotten a hotel room a couple of times, and they would even kiss in the restaurant behind everyone's back. He even showed me some proof. I then proceeded to confront my wife, and she stayed quiet. She then started lying, saying she did start talking to him, but the only reason she went to the hotels was because he threatened to tell me if she didn't. I tried to believe that, but I gave the young man a call and he told me she went willingly and even provided proof. Now I feel betrayed. My own wife of 10 years doing this right under my nose, and I knew it. I just couldn't prove it. Every day I would see him clock in just to find out he was doing these things with my wife, our 2 daughters, our house, our relationship, the hard work I have put in to support my family. I am devastated, hurt, and I think I want to divorce her and take the kids. What should I do? Fire him, get a lawyer, and divorce her. It's a tough decision. I've been with her for a long time. It is not tough for her to bang another dude. She didn't think about the 10 years. Also, if it is not a problem for you if she cheat on you, then don't do the divorce. I don't want to be with someone who lied and cheated on me, especially right in front of my face. But it's hard because she was my best friend and my first love, and the mother of my children. And she falsely accused another guy of blackmailing her. Is this the sort of woman you want to be married to? Divorce her and take the kids, and fire him. He got fired. I'm just crushed that it happened all under my eyes. You willingly ignored all the signs you listed in the story, and now you refuse to take action. The feeling you have now will continue forever unless you cut her out of your life. Also, DNA test the children.
Freeze to the core. Rack and ruin. There is no escape.
Update. I-28 male messed up by asking my girlfriend 26 female to stop talking about her late boyfriend. Original post. Her college boyfriend passed away in an accident 5 years ago. I-28 male understand that he will always be part of her 26 female life and she will always love him. Her grief and trauma and how she dealt with losing her boyfriend is a part of who she is as a person. We have been dating for 2 years. The problem is that she brings him into our relationship. Every time I make a mistake or get hurt, she always brings up how he used to treat her and how I should try to be more like him. She doesn't do it in an accusatory way, but it still kinda stings. It has been getting to me. Yesterday, I got news that I received the promotion I had been vying for. I was not very hopeful about getting it. It was a position which had many candidates from all different departments. We celebrated a little. We started talking about how we could do all the things we had planned for. In the middle of the conversation, I joked about being too anxious about these things, and she responded by saying that her boyfriend had always been so calm and collected, very chill about everything. He could just shrug off anything.
Why?
I am exactly the opposite. I am anxious and a person who worries a lot. I don't know why, but it hurt me a lot. I asked her to stop talking about him. She looked offended, but didn't respond and I just ruined the night. We sat there for a few minutes before she decided to clean up and go to bed early. I feel like I am being compared against someone I will never match up to. I know that he is very important to her, but can't she cherish him without making me feel like crap? She has been distant today. I know she is hurt. She has barely spoken to me today. I feel I should have just ignored her comments and rolled with it. My message and delivery were all wrong.
Why?
And now I feel guilty
Why?
about hurting her. I should have done a
I
better
can't
job
move.
of being sensitive about this and brought it up when she was celebrating. I want to sort this out and have a productive conversation with her so that we can deal with this issue. I need some help going about that. Now for the top advice before reading the update. I don't think you're in the wrong here. Yes, you could have been more sensitive about it, which you acknowledge and should apologize for, but I really don't think you're in the wrong. You were being held to an impossible standard, and that's 100% unfair to you. You can't even celebrate your own accomplishments without her trying to make it all about him. It sucks that it came to a head like this, but use this as a chance to finally address this issue. You cannot move forward in your relationship with a dead guy hanging over the two of you. Yes, she can grieve and miss him, but that isn't what she is doing. She is using him as a tool to aid in making you feel less than someone else. Seriously,
Why?
she needs counseling. It's often very hard to say things calmly or reasonably when you are hurt or angry. You don't say if you have talked to her about the issue. You really should. She hasn't moved past her late boyfriend. People only remember the good stuff when people die, never the bad stuff. You can never be his equal because he is dead. He can't screw up. It is not fair for her to compare the two of you. You need to tell her how it makes you feel. She is free to remember him in her mind, but not in yours. Like the others, it's not weird that you feel like this. Comparing your current partner to an ex like that is not okay, even if he's dead. Yeah, you could have worded that better, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. But rather than her just stop talking about her dead partner, she probably needs counseling. But honestly, you don't have to be there for it. You deserve a partner who appreciates you and don't compare you to others. She might be a good person, but she hasn't been a good partner to you. I don't think she's ready for a relationship with another person. And now for the update. All the comments here helped me understand that we needed to talk about the issue, but she was still a bit mad at me. I thought I should just give her space for a few days. I think a day or two after it was announced that I was being promoted, some of my colleagues hosted a little after-work dinner for me as I would be moving divisions and not working with them anymore. It was nice, and it really touched me, and it also made me understand how screwed our relationship had become. I got what the comments meant, but I guess actually having a nice dinner celebrating my success felt great and made me truly understand how unhappy I felt. We had the talk a few days later where I told her that I felt unhappy and unappreciated, that I felt like I needed some time away from her. She almost seemed like she was waiting for this. She didn't seem particularly upset over it. She said she understood and she would move back to her parents as soon as possible. I know it is ugly, but some part of me wanted her to be upset. Some proof that she cared for me? I don't know. I feel like she didn't love me at all. I feel like I wasted years being in love with her. She moved out 2 weeks ago and I miss her a lot. Home feels really lonely without her, but at the same time I feel better. Not a lot, but I feel better about myself. It is strange. She is not a bad person. She is a wonderful person, and that is why I fell in love with her. But the closer we got, the less happy our relationship made me. I know a lot of it was my fault, and I need to work on communication skills. You made the right decision. You can't compete with a ghost. And that's really it. She's made an idealized form of her ex to help her grieve, but she isn't letting go. I feel bad for both of them. OP wanted to make her happy and have a relationship, but she was still not in a place to have one. The healing process is hard, and clearly she needs a push. Hopefully, she gets the therapy she needs and doesn't keep relying on ghost boyfriend. Also, congrats OP. When people lose someone, they often forget about any of their bad qualities and create a false image of someone who was completely perfect in every way. I get the impression that the girlfriend got into a relationship because it was easier than being alone, and dealing with the grief, which obviously was terribly unfair on OP. He's much better off. I know it's hard, but you absolutely did the right thing. I remember your original post and was so frustrated at your ex's behavior. It's going to be hard and sad now, but you will be so happy soon. Take the time to breathe freely and enjoy being on your own. For real, I just read the post and was beyond annoyed with the girlfriend. Her boyfriend died and was turned into a saint with no flaws. That would be crushing, every time you did something wrong or right, to be told, well, Timmy never messed up or always did X. Sounds like you did the right thing. My partner also has a deceased ex, and I certainly would struggle if he was comparing me to her constantly. Grief is odd, but boundaries need to be maintained. Wishing you the best. Yeah, I'm the widow in my relationship, and while I definitely do talk about my late husband quite a bit, it is never done in a comparison way. I would never say to my boyfriend, "Husband was like this, why aren't you?" And because I am respectful of that, he is respectful of the fact that my husband will always be a part of my life, and we can talk and I can tell stories, etc. Next story is titled, Update. I 30 male just found out my girlfriend, 28, of over a year had a whole life I knew nothing about, right as I was ring shopping. Advice? Original post. I have been dating the most amazing woman for the past year and a half. I have been in puppy love before, the kind where they're all you can think about and you smile when you think of them, and we have that too. But she has also brought me the joy of being together but not together. That magnificent way you can just be and be alone in the same room. Her reading a book, me doing a project. And really knowing someone, knowing how her mouth crinkles when she thinks, the way the rain makes her feel, all the stories of her childhood, all the little stuff that makes her a person. At least I thought I did. I was shopping for a ring and had been dropping hints that made her smile, and we would plan this little suburban life. A deck with a grill, a goofy puppy, a piano. We talked about baby names and vetoed ones. We have the joke names Trevor and Trevina. We'd pick out paint colors and flooring at Lowe's and giggle like idiots. I was 100% confident. I just hadn't chosen a ring. You know, she didn't want a diamond, but didn't know what she does want. Then, I got a Facebook message today from some guy. He said that he was her brother-in-law and that she had blocked him on Facebook, but could I please pass along a wedding invite and it would mean a lot if she was there. I pressed for more details and it all came out. She was married before to a guy named Brendan and they had a little boy, Sam. She told me before she didn't like that name. The son died in a car accident, and afterwards, they had an ugly divorce and she cut ties. 5 years of her life I never knew about, and I don't know if I ever would have. I think she was never going to tell me. I've felt sick about this all day. Made up an imaginary sickness to sit and think by myself, and I feel paralyzed by it. This morning I knew her, and now I don't. I don't even know how to bring this up or what. I definitely can't go by the ring and pretend. At the same time, I want to be with her. I am hurt, but know that was horrible, that she went through something unimaginable, but I don't know what that means for us. Am I just a distraction? Is this something she does? I just don't know. Help? Now for the advice before the update. Oh man, what a situation. You are probably not a distraction, and this is probably not something she does. But this is not okay, not by a long shot. But it could honestly be that she was hoping to just outrun the grief, to not have it be part of her anymore. When you go through something awful, it's a lot easier, sometimes, to only be around people that don't know about it. Rudyard Kipling even wrote a poem that talks about this. The lines, "There is knowledge, God forbid, more than one should own," always suggested to me something that I learned as a teenager. Sometimes when people know you've been through hell, when they look at you, hell is all they see. It holds you there. It makes it really hard to outgrow the horrors of the where you've been when you can see it reflected in people's eyes. So, from my perspective, this was probably not an attempt at manipulation, but instead an attempt to just not be that person anymore. Not be the grieving mother, not be the injured ex-wife, not be the divorcee whose marriage and relationship with family was shattered. Even now, her ex-brother-in-law wants her company. That does not tell me that she is a bad person. That does not, however, make it okay. Not when the two of you are talking about marriage. She should have told you when you started talking about rings and baby names, and you're not wrong to feel conflicted, and maybe a bit angry and hurt about it. Stunned, absolutely. My advice would be to sit her down and to tell her that her brother-in-law got in touch with you. Don't accuse, don't shout, don't get angry. Just tell her that you were told to pass on a wedding invitation and see how she responds to that. Be calm. Does knowing that she has lived through this grief make you less likely to want to marry her? Does knowing that she bore and lost a child make you less likely to want to have children with her? You need to sit and talk to her. You also need to keep in mind that when a parent loses a child, everyone they know, close and distant, will feel sorry/pity them. Maybe you're the one person in her life who doesn't look at her with pity in their eyes and doesn't skirt around certain issues. Like it or not, certain occurrences forever alter how we interact with people, and for once she just wanted something normal, something she had before the loss of everything. She could have also had bad reactions from past partners when she told them this, and she didn't want to jeopardize what you had. Then the longer she left it, the harder it became to bring up. There's also the third option that she's denying it ever happened, even to herself. It's a known coping mechanism. If that is the one she is using, then it will eventually catch up with her. You can never outrun your past, as you're seeing now. It's not right to lie for so long to someone you plan to spend your life with, but in this case, it is understandable. No one can understand how it feels to lose a child, unless you have lost one yourself. Be kind when you raise the issue. Don't allow any temper into the conversation and allow her to get it out as she needs to. Please don't force her to answer all your questions unless she's okay to do so. Show her the message and gently ask her about it. Losing a child is awful, and everyone mourns in their own way. Perhaps she would have told you after you guys were officially engaged, or when you were going to seriously try for a baby. It's not about you, OP, and I really doubt you are just a distraction. You still know her. Seriously, stop thinking about it and just talk to her. Yeah, this by 1000. You've also only been dating a year and a half. While your relationship, OP, may be very serious, keep in mind that you still haven't known her for a whole lot of time. This is a gigantic traumatic event. Yeah, this may mean postponing engagement and learning more about each other, but I don't think she's necessarily hiding it out of spite or ill will. And now for the update. I spoke to her the day after. She told me she had wanted to tell me for a while, but didn't know where to start. That she thought about Sam every day, but at the same time didn't know how to begin. She pulled out a shoebox from her closet and showed me the pictures. Pictures of her wedding. This propped up little thing at the courthouse. Her in a short white dress with a slight stomach. Her husband, this cocky smiled kid with his shaggy blonde hair. Then the baby, Sam. Pictures from a red-faced baby to this little 4-year-old person. Birthdays and Christmases and pictures of the three of them. A family. She talked about Brendan. How they came from these radically different backgrounds and she barely knew him as a person before he was a father and husband. They'd only been dating 3 months when she got pregnant. They were 20. Then she talked about Sam, her baby. She kept saying he was the best thing that ever happened to her, and hearing that broke my heart. She talked about how his hair cowlicked in 3 different spots and how he was always singing or humming, that he loved to climb. She told me his favorite movie and book. She made him a person to me. Then she told me how they lost him. Some kid ran a red light, and then he was gone. She barely remembers the funeral because she was so heavily medicated. But the worst part was after, going home and him not being there. How she'd walk past his room and expect to hear him playing, waking up and forgetting for a minute he was gone. Their marriage had never been good, and they turned on each other. He blamed her because she had fastened the booster seat on that side of the car. She blamed him because he had been driving. They were divorced within a year after the accident. Brendan had a new child within 2. She had spent the time doing overload on classes and working, keeping busy because it made things easier. She didn't see her old friends because they drifted away. They never knew what to say. And they mostly had kids of their own while she was surviving. But seeing Sam's brother, who looked so much like Sam, hurt so much that she decided to get away and stop wallowing. She took the pictures down, donated clothes and toys, deleted her Facebook, and stopped seeing her old friends who weren't really friends anymore. She said she chose to keep breathing because that was what it had come down to. Then she met me, and she said I made her want a fresh start, a better marriage, and more children, because she loved me. We talked for hours. She cried, and I cried for her. I still love her, maybe more now because I feel like she opened up to me so much. It's hard to imagine her married, with a son, toys on the floor, and pictures on the fridge. It's hard because in a lot of ways, it's the life I've been imagining with her. I still plan on marrying this woman. She's the love of my life. This must have been so hard for her. I am glad you were there for her. Good luck. The onions. They're everywhere. Damn it, OP. This is so truly heartbreaking. Literally, this is every parent's deepest, darkest fear, and she lived it. My son is 6 and I'm crying, because I just cannot imagine having to suffer through that. I was afraid that OP was going to update saying he was going to leave her because keeping this from him was unforgivable. But I'm so relieved and so happy that he is going to stay with her and that she gets a new life with him. Damn these tears. Dude, you were the reason that she decided to make another go at life. You should feel good about that. Beautiful story, a tragic past with a potentially happier future. Best to both of you. Best point I have read on this thread. Great perspective. Specifically because of the love that OP showed, she felt enough love again to open up and share her life, and now shared everything that she's been through. Hats off, OP. I wish you both a lifetime and more of happiness. Being able to get someone like her to open up again is some accomplishment. It's good you found out everything from her at last. Losing a child is one of the most emotionally painful things a person can go through. She hurt for such a long time. It's no wonder she wanted a fresh start without this horrible memory eating away at her. You came along and gave her this new beginning. I think you two will do just fine.
Whoops.
I pushed my husband into being a stay-at-home dad, and it has ruined our relationship. Pretty much exactly as the title says. Husband, early 30s male, and I, early 30s female, have been together for 10 years, married 4. We had our daughter 3 years ago. Husband has been a bartender at high-end restaurants since I've known him. I work in management for an aerospace company. When I came back from maternity leave, I was offered a temporary promotion with the opportunity for it to become permanent should I do well. Husband cut back his hours because my new position would often require me to work 10 plus hours a day, sometimes 6 days a week. We toughed it out for about 2 months. It was rough, but we made it through, and at the end of the temp assignment, I was offered the permanent gig. My new salary was more than enough for us to live comfortably without his income and still bolster our savings. I am not trying to belittle his contributions financially. I never resented him for his profession in the slightest. Quite the opposite, in fact. There are perks to having a man who makes you delicious cocktails regularly. Plus, he actually made pretty decent money and managed it well. The issue was we didn't have childcare, and I much preferred one of us be watching her instead of daycare. I know some will disagree with this, but I didn't want my child in daycare and pretty much put my foot down on this. After some back and forth, I literally made a pros/cons Venn diagram. He agreed to quit his job and be a stay-at-home dad. The first year was actually pretty good. My hours were brutal sometimes, but we made the best of what time we did have together, and he was enjoying being home with our daughter. Our intimate life started to taper off, but not to the point where I thought there was cause for concern. He would initiate often, and I'd be too tired or just wanted to relax. My job is very high stress, but I always let him know it had nothing to do with him, and that I appreciated him being home with our daughter. He kept the place clean, stayed on top of laundry, the yard, cooking. I have no complaints. When I felt he was getting antsy or knew it had been a while between sessions, I always made sure to show him special attention and affection. I want to make it clear I am very much attracted to my husband. He is handsome and a great lover. There were just so many times I was exhausted and wasn't in the mood. I know he's a very passionate person, but he always assured me it was okay and he understood. This continued for about 2 more years. The past 3 months our relationship has, for a better lack of words, gone to crap. Last night, we had just put our daughter down, when he told me he had a surprise for me in our bedroom. He sat me down on the bed and pulled out a solid black bag from our closet. It was lingerie and toys. We used to be quite kinky, so I wasn't surprised and was actually excited. Just not at the moment. I told him I was beat, that it was already late, past 9 p.m. on a work night, and I wasn't feeling it. I expressed that I was more than willing to play another night. I offered him an alternative if he was that into it to tide him over. That's when he unloaded. He told me he doesn't want pity session. He told me it's been almost 2 months since we'd been intimate. I didn't realize it had been that long, and that I've rejected him 20 times that span. He had the days in his phone. After looking at the dates he had noted in his calendar, I knew he was right. I apologized again, telling him I love him, but between stress and being tired, my libido isn't what it used to be. He told me to cut my hours and spend more time together. That isn't an option for another few years with my position, and he knows this. I explained to him this was just a hard time, but it would pay off. He asked me if I still found him attractive, and if I still desired him. I told him of course. Then he asked something that broke me. He asked if I was sleeping with some big shot at work. I told him he knows I would never do that. He told me he isn't happy. He told me he feels unattractive, unimportant, and unwanted. He asked how I could possibly think he'd be okay with having no intimate life and hardly spending any time together. I, again, calmly explained that it was just temporary. It's permanent, but only a 5-year-long contract. Eventually, he said he was going to sleep downstairs and he'd see me in the morning. Today I woke up and it was completely different. He didn't get up with me. He didn't make me breakfast or coffee. He didn't give me any kisses or hugs. He didn't do anything he normally does. He just sat on the couch with our daughter, drinking his coffee and watching TV with her, practically ignoring me. He seemed emotionless. He didn't text me all day today like normal. He didn't send me any funny pictures of him and our daughter. The only thing he texted me was that he's going on a fishing trip with his friends this weekend, and I'd have to watch our daughter. I had planned on spending this weekend together because I have it off. I just responded with, okay. I haven't left work to go home yet. I feel so defeated. I feel like I made a horrible mistake pushing him to do this and taking this position. Has anyone else gone through something similar with their husbands when they became stay-at-home dads? I know for some men it can be a shot to their masculinity, and maybe that's what he's feeling. I'm so lost and sad. Taking time off work is not an option as I signed a contract, so I don't know what to do. Now for the top advice. From what I'm hearing, it isn't his masculinity he's questioning. He seems to be very comfortable with your daughter, especially if he usually tends to send funny pics of/with her. He literally spelled it out for you, lady. He feels unappreciated as your husband because you spend every little bit of your energy on your job. I used to study physics and now medicine, so I know it's difficult, but you really, really need to save more energy for him. Your marriage may depend on it. He's simply fed up being brushed off by you. 2 months and being brushed off 20 times. The accusations of infidelity. He's not questioning his masculinity. He's questioning you as his wife. And I frankly very much understand him. The stay-at-home dad situation, he's handling it with grace, and I'm very certain if you show him more attention, care, love, and intimacy, there's absolutely a 100% chance he'll be happy being a stay-at-home dad. But this life, it isn't sustainable. You're basically cutting him out of your life and making his insecurities come up, but you are the source of them, not his stay-at-home dad lifestyle. If my hypothetical wife brushed me off 20 times in a row, imagine how you'd feel if your husband did that. You're a scientist, I reckon, so act like one. Analyze the issue. Find solutions. This struck me, and you're right. I've been putting myself in his shoes all day and feel an intense amount of guilt that I've let it get this bad. And looking back, all the indicators were there. I just didn't address them. Too wrapped up in my own chaotic world of work and business. I know significant changes have to happen, and I will do anything to make him feel loved and appreciated again, because I do love and appreciate him. He told me to cut my hours and spend more time together. That isn't an option for another few years with my position, and he knows this. I guess you also know that if you don't cut your hours, you'll lose him very soon, right? He may be already checked out. It is incredible that you think he'll accept continuing this arrangement for a few years more. You even say it is only a 5-year-long contract, like not seeing your wife at all during the day and barely having intimacy for 5 years is something perfectly normal and acceptable in a marriage. You either cut your hours or you will lose your marriage. There is no in between. Isn't a maybe in my opinion. Not doing any loving or attentive things, not talking to her, going away for her weekend off. He's done. He's just letting her know. But he doesn't think she'll notice, so he's being passive-aggressive about it because he wants her to care. I suspect the fishing trip was more about seeing if she'd say something, which she didn't. I think he knows he's done, and she has wasted all her chances to stop it. You are going to lose your husband. Money isn't everything. You need to make major changes now. I despise cheaters, but in this case, I don't know if I would blame OP's husband. She thinks this is about him being a stay-at-home dad and fails to realize that this is because she really neglected him. I'm a career-focused woman as well, so I get it, but OP is putting her career above family. She's about to lose them. Next story is titled, I-27 male broke up with woman, 31 female after a few months of dating, and she is begging to know why.
What the fuck?
I was fixed up with Emily, who is lovely in so many ways. She's sweet, thoughtful, and kind, but also the most neurotic person I have ever encountered on the face of planet Earth. Our relationship was great in many ways, but what I couldn't stand was that everything was a discussion. Everything needed endless amounts of analysis. Everything meant something. When we were first dating, a couple of weeks, I invited her to a patio where my friends were going to be. She wanted to go but went back and forth about it so much. She wanted to go, but was it too soon? People may think we're pushing things. Did I want her there? Was she even welcome among that circle of friends? Did they align with her views on vaccination? Then she played devil's advocate to her own arguments. Everything was like this. Every social interaction. Every date. It was endless, and I was getting anxiety about bringing things up. I was getting anxious having to bring her places. Our one and only fight was because she was taking forever to get ready for something, which had a time requirement, because she was neurotically going over everything. When she wasn't being neurotic, she was the most thoughtful person. She was generous and sweet, and was a lot of fun. We enjoyed so many of the same things and shared a lot of similar views. But boy, was she really difficult when being neurotic. She would question the minutiae of everything, and just went over minute details, and then would hang on to something, debate it endlessly, and then try and convince herself what she was saying was rational. She was making me anxious. It spilled over. Her life was organized in a way that was very controlled, and there wasn't a lot of room for someone else in her life. To keep herself organized, she made it hard to encounter situations that would make her anxious, and you either went along with that, or you didn't. She flew under specific circumstances, so a desire to travel, out of the picture. You like to try new restaurants? Why? We know the ones we go to are good, no reason to branch. It just felt like I had to participate in her life rather than create one together. Bedroom was another major issue. She was so terrified of getting pregnant that every time we do it, she's in panic. She was on the pill. I used a protection and I pulled out. Like, how much safer can you be? Still, total unmitigated panic.
Shit.
Anyway, I couldn't take it. It was just too much, so I politely ended it. I heard nothing from her for a couple of weeks. Then she sent a message asking if we could be friends. I was courteous but distant. Then she followed up with limp attempts to talk and be cool. Then she flat out asked me what was wrong with her. She's asked a few more times. Emily thinks she's got the world by the tail. She's a #boss babe and totally killing it, whatever it is. In reality, she's a mess. Her life is so carefully orchestrated that there is no room for anyone else. She is so neurotic that she sucks the fun out of things, and unless she changes, her attitude about intimacy is a real turnoff. She doesn't seem to think there's anything wrong with her. She does see a therapist, but her therapist seems to be more of a people pleaser than she is. From what she's described, her therapist thinks she's grand. Do I give in and tell her as nicely as possible what my rationale was? Or do I just have to block her everywhere and hope she figures it out and gets help? Going against some people here, absolutely tell her. You have a chance to do something good here. People here are all like, you don't owe her anything. But does that matter? You said she was kind and lovely too. She didn't do something horrible to you. You can give her closure and a chance for growth. Why not do it? It can absolutely be so painful to not know why it ended. If you tell her what's up, she can decide what to do with this information. She's a grown woman. You don't have to walk through all the details with her, but you can tell her your rationale. You can always block her after if she bombards you with questions. As someone who's been dumped before, please, please just tell her. Jumping on top comment as a formerly neurotic person who had their meds changed last spring and feels amazing. Tell her. I am so filled with shame and anger over all the people that cut me out of their lives. I mean, I get it now at least. I understand finally. But couldn't just one of them have freaking told me? Just politely suggest that you think she should try a different therapist at the very least. I agree that people should tell someone what the deal is. However, here's the kicker. Most people won't acknowledge that they have a problem regardless of how many times they've been told, especially when they're used to other people such as their parents or therapists telling them that they're fine and that everything is sunshine and lollipops. So, I can totally understand why people hesitate to tell. Why not tell her? It would be a kindness. but also let her know that you have zero interest in debating or discussing it further. She can agree or disagree and take it however she likes. You are telling her because you believe that she genuinely wants to know, and these are your reasons. If she pushes back even a little, just block her. Yeah, OP isn't obligated to, but it sounds like nobody else is telling her that she needs to work on this. Most people don't like confrontation, so I'm sure she's had a couple people say something, but I'd guess most people just faded out of her life without mentioning a thing. If I were him, I'd make her promise not to shoot the messenger and then just send her an edited version of this post. Sounds like she struggles with high levels of anxiety or might have some sort of undiagnosed ADHD. What you described her behavior the night to meet your friends at a patio is exactly what I do. Every scenario and potential outcome runs through my brain and it's just a train that I can't seem to stop. And the planning. Oh good grief, the planning. I need to plan everything on trips to have something to do, or else I get paralyzed by endless choices and shut down. I realized this all stemmed from severe anxiety, talked to a therapist about it, and was put on anti-anxiety medications, and it was like all the endless noise just started to fade. It was such a weight off my shoulders. Her being in therapy doesn't mean she's being honest to a therapist about how she lives her life. She could maybe really use the feedback from you to take back to her therapist to dissect and figure out the best way to help her. Now for the last story. I, 32 female, was confronted today in front of my husband, 33 male, by my Tinder date, 25 male, for being pregnant. Found out his little sister was catfishing with my pictures. It's a mess. I am currently 6 months pregnant. I'm married and have been for the last 5 years. Yesterday, we went out for some Mexican food. The whole time in the restaurant, the barkeep was eyeing me weirdly. When we left, he was waiting outside. He confronted me, also told my husband that I was cheating, etc, etc. He was shocked, and so was I. I was asking him who the hell he was, and he kept saying I shouldn't play stupid, so he and my husband got in a verbal altercation. He left calling me a C-word after showing us the profile that didn't have my name on it, and the Telegram conversation we had. Husband was livid, but I managed to calm him down because I showed him my phone ASAP. There was no Tinder and no Telegram, also not in the deleted cache. Today we were at mother-in-law's house and we told her about that. Mother-in-law was pushing us to make a complaint to the restaurant because he harassed us, and my husband was like, yes, let's do it. Then his sister said we should stop. She came clean, admitting that she was catfishing with my pictures. She said the reason was that she didn't feel pretty enough, and that when she used Tinder with her pictures, barely any guys swiped right on her, and that she had used it as a boost for herself and it had gone terribly out of hand. I am still livid. I feel sorry, but I feel livid. My husband is more on the side of forgiving and moving on, but it was my pictures that were used. What's your take on this? This is a really weird and messed up situation. How old was the sister-in-law? Sounds like she could benefit from some counseling. She is 19. What she did was really uncool and unsafe. She also admitted it when she saw others were being affected by her actions. Take time for yourself, but don't blame her forever for this. I understand that she's young and she probably didn't think any repercussions could happen to innocent people in this, besides the random dudes she never meets up with. Yes, it was really crappy of her too, so take time for yourself. How is it a boost if it's someone else's pics? Because she was getting more likes or swipes or whatever. She was probably having conversations with people that made her feel validated and paid attention to, despite using someone else's photo to acquire this male attention. She probably felt special having attractive guys talk to her for a little while, and she could do it while suspending her feelings of inadequacy. If they can't see the real her, which she's insecure about, then she doesn't have to worry about being judged negatively by them. Edit. Thanks for those that gave me advice. I decided to talk to her and ask her to tell both men she was talking to that she was a catfish and that she stole those pictures from an Instagram account. I talked to my husband and made him understand how dangerous this could have been. Showed him some news of women getting murdered for rejecting men and why I was so scared and furious. He hadn't really thought about that. He is going to talk to his sister and his mom about therapy for her, as this is very seriously a scream for help. Plus, after everything is solved, we decided to be lower contact till I'm not mad anymore. But geez, some of you have to seriously chill and watch less of Law and Order, or what the hell you were on. Heinous crime? Call the police on her? Be careful because she could cut out my baby because she wants to be me? Lol, seriously a DM I got. Please be kinder. This is obviously not a malicious act from a mastermind. This was a very misguided and stupid and dangerous move that had very little common sense behind it. However, she is not a criminal. Have a bit of compassion. I have a cheating fiancé, but I could be getting an amazing job while staying with her for a little bit longer. Plus update. Original post. Hey guys, so I 26 male have been in a relationship with Amy, 24 female for 6 years, and we're planning our wedding next year. I recently found out that she's been cheating on me for a few years with multiple people. I want to break up with her, but haven't told her that I know about the cheating. Her family is planning to use their references to get me an amazing job that I've always wanted, but if I break up with her now, I don't think they will. I'm pretty sure that it doesn't matter if we break up afterwards. I should be able to keep the job then. I'm just wondering if it'll be very wrong of me to stay with her while knowing that I'm gonna break up with her as soon as I got the job. Or should I just break up and think about the job later? Marriage is set to be next July, but I should be getting the job within a month or so. P.S. I'm very well qualified for the job, but it's a government position and usually you need some strong support to get that in my country. Now for the top advice before reading the update. If you're sure the repercussions of leaving post-hire are not going to be detrimental and won't cause hassle for you later, then I'd say just keep playing your cards right, and once you're locked in for the job, then break up. Thanks. Yes, I'm sure it won't be an issue because it's a government job, and it's just hard to get in without proper references. But once you're in, no one can do anything unless you make a major mistake. Breaking up with referee's daughter doesn't count as one.
More speed.
Keep collecting and saving all evidence you can get. Play it smart, bruh. Make sure you get that job first and collect all the evidence you need so she can't turn the thing around on you later. She can't, lol. Most of our friends are mutual, and they kinda know she's not faithful, and I've already got a lot of proof of her cheating. It was wrong of her to cheat. You getting to better your future by keeping restrained is you making the best out of a bad situation. That's a nice way to put it. Edit. I have all the qualifications for the job, but I just need some strong references to get the job. Once I get the job, no one can do anything unless I make fatal mistakes in my job. I'm gonna update you guys in about 2 months, since a lot of y'all were interested in knowing what will happen. And now for the update 2 months later. So I managed to get the job by her parents' recommendation about 2 weeks ago, and I started planning the breakup and all those things at that time. I spoke to my lawyer and started the process. I told her that I found out just a few days ago about her cheating, even though I've known for months, and broke up with her. I transferred my share of funds into my personal account, took my share of things, and moved out. Before she could ruin my image, I sat down with her dad and talked about the whole situation, and he is genuinely pissed at his daughter and wished me good luck for the future. We're just finalizing last few things, and I'll totally out of this whole thing in a week or two. Just wanted to come here and update y'all since I got so much good advice on here. Thanks for everything, guys. Peace out. Executed with poise and precision. Bravo. Love to hear it, man. That is awesome. Not every move has to be perfect, just a few winning plays. When the dust settles, you will want to say, I am so proud of myself. Thanks, man. Feels great, not gonna lie. Kinda weird being single after so long, but I guess it's a new phase. Very happy for you, man. Your decision making and planning worked. Obviously an indication that you can make stuff happen and are a cut above the average buster. I predict great success for your future. Great that you got that position. How did she react when you told her that you knew and that you wanted to break up? Is she still trying to fix things or does she care? Are you going to do no contact? Will you keep uploading updates? I wish you the best, and I hope you can find someone who values you. Thank you. I told her that I found out about this 2 days ago, so she doesn't think I used her. She was trying to beg and cry, but I told her to stop harassing me and left. It's definitely going to be no contact, but we may bump into one another at a party or something, I don't know. I don't know if there's much else to update after this, but I've enrolled into a master's degree as well. I can study it while working, so I'm going to just focus on that for a few years. We all are happy for you, man. You got what you wanted and she got what she deserved. It's kinda lucky that her parents didn't take her side. Well, I have seen some parents lash out at the victim and ignore the fact that their children cheated. Well, you're the lucky guy after all. Yeah, it's a good outcome. It'll be hard since this is the first time I'm gonna be single in a while, but I've made my peace with it since I knew this was gonna happen from about 2 months ago. Thanks though. Next story is titled, Update, Wife Had Emotional Affair. Original